Hi there, and welcome to another episode of the Gym Owner's Guide to the Galaxy. This podcast is a production of Sweat Angels. Sweat Angels helps gym owners generate friend-to-friend referrals on Facebook. Every month, thousands of affiliate gyms, group fitness clubs, yoga studios, and martial arts schools rely on Sweat Angels to help them grow. To learn more about Sweat Angels, head to causley.com/Sweat Angels. That's causley.com/Sweat Angels, or just search for us on Facebook. Thanks for listening today. I'm John Ruggie.
And I'm Matt Sharp. Today's episode, we're going to be talking about something that is very near and dear to our hearts here, and especially for John and I, is morning routines. I can't remember exactly. I think I really started getting into morning routines maybe a few years ago when I was listening to Tim Ferriss talk about it on a podcast, and he was talking about a lot of high performers and their morning routines. And I know that over the years, I've changed mine up many, many times. And usually anybody that I'm helping or talking with, if they have any questions about morning routines, is something that I can talk about all day. And John's the same way, so we decided to do an episode on it. Also, we had a lot of really good feedback when we did a blog post on morning routines. And we kind of wanted to, and we had a lot of questions that came out of that, so we wanted to kind of expand on that in today's episode as well. So, John, take it away.
All right, so just to preface this episode, Matt and I each wrote down our kind of top 5 morning routine rituals that we do, and some of them will probably be the same, but we're going to take turns. I'm going to start off, share my first thing that I do. The last thing that I'd give up is the first thing I'm going to talk about today, and then Matt's going to go with his, and we'll alternate back and forth. So for me, the first thing, foundation for any morning routine, is wake up time, and for me, it's 5:15 every day. And so I didn't start off there. I worked my way backwards. I used to be a night owl. I used to be the kind of guy who'd work till 1 or 2 at night and get up, 8, 9, 10 o'clock the next day and go from there. But because I wanted to be more intentional with my time, and also having a family needs, that requires a little bit more structure, I started backing up that time earlier and earlier in the day. And even though my morning routine changes a little bit on the weekends and a little bit during the week, I still try to target that 5:15 wake up time during the week. And that just helps my body kind of get into a natural rhythm. So like this morning, I woke up at 5:07, even without the alarm, because I'm just used to waking up then. Weekends, I'll let myself sleep in a little bit to 7 o'clock or so. But by Monday, since I'm not doing anything crazy on Saturday or Sunday by sleeping until like 9 or 10 o'clock, it's pretty easy to get back into that 5:15 wake up time every day. So along those same lines, one of mine was when I started to wanted to get up earlier. I started out getting up. I think when I started, it was 10 minutes earlier each day until I hit. And right now, I try to get up anywhere between 6 and 6:30 because we have a kid that screams all night. And so I remember when I first started trying to get up earlier, that was a good method that I used to kind of work my way down to that time. Because I've seen over and over again when people say, all right, I want to start a morning routine. And, well, what time do you normally get up? I can get up at 8. Well, tomorrow I'm going to start getting up at 5. No, you're not.
So you'll get up at 5 tomorrow, and then the next day it's over, right? Yeah. So I've seen the best success with people maybe inching at weight, maybe 15 minutes earlier each day, or 15 minutes earlier this week, and then next week 15 more minutes. And it just gets you into more of a natural rhythm. I read something yesterday that's really congruent with this was Craig Ballantyne wrote a book called The Perfect Day Formula, and he has this system called his 10-3-2-1-0 for a good night. And part of that, and those numbers break down into 10 hours before bed, he has no caffeine. And this
10 hours before bed?
10 hours before he goes to bed, he has no caffeine. And these are all basically says, if you want to wake up early, then you need to be rested.
Yeah.
So like these are his kind of tips for being able to get up early. So 10 hours before, no caffeine. 3 hours before bed, he doesn't do any food or alcohol. So that wouldn't be really rough for me. 1 hour before bed, no screen time. I've seen this one over and over and over again. And I know that a lot of people have trouble falling asleep, trying to set their phone down or set a computer down and go right to sleep. And I think there's even research that it stimulates parts of the brain that makes it really tough for you to relax. Mm-hmm. But he says if you do the 10 hours before bed, no caffeine, 3 hours, no food, 1 hour before bed, no screen time, that equals 0 number of times you'll hit the snooze button. So that's his formula for that. And I thought that was really, really cool.
Nice. Yeah, I've gotten in the habit of reading fiction for about 15 or 20 minutes before I go to bed. And I read the paper book. I don't read it on my iPad or anything like that. And that just helps kind of transition my mind away from the thoughts of the day into something entirely different. And again, I don't have to read an hour or anything, but 15 or 20 minutes is plenty of time just to kind of settle things down, let my eyes rest from looking at a screen and go to sleep.
Yeah. So that's definitely some things that are useful, I think, because getting up is one thing, but being well rested and being able to get up is the foundation for that.
Right. So was that your number 2 or what's your number 2?
That was definitely one of mine to help get up early. One of the things that I try to do every morning is I try to exercise just a little bit every morning. So I try to break a sweat. This is during the week. So for me, that used to be going downstairs and doing probably 10 minutes of some sort of body weight exercises. A lot of those would be like core focus, but just something to kind of break a sweat. And I've always found that kind of wakes me up. And then if I want to do things after that, like meditate or read or listen to a podcast or something, then it just kind of gets me going. Plus, I end up taking a shower after that as well, which continues to wake me up. But currently what I do now is I got an assault bike. So now I have like a 10-minute thing that I do every day on the assault bike. And I'm pretty revved up after that. But one of the things, I guess one of my tips or hacks would be to do something that gets the heart rate up early on in the morning, just to kind of get the day going. And it really will take you from kind of drudging around a little bit to fully awake if you can do that. Along those same lines, I know that when we were at Tony Robbins, he talked a lot about the breathing routines for the morning to wake you up. So I feel like those two things kind of go hand in hand for me. Like it wakes the brain up too when you move in the morning.
Was it the Egoscue or Egoscue? I'm not sure of the pronunciation, but
yeah, it was priming. So he would call it like priming, and basically priming would be like to take the I think I can pull it up, 30 explosive breaths in and out through your nose while raising your hands up and down.
Right.
And it's not just him that talks about that to wake up. I've seen several people talk about these really fast breaths through your nose to kind of wake the brain up. And I think for me, like I'll do a little bit of that and then exercise, but exercise to me is what really helps get me going in the morning.
Yeah.
And not a full session either, like just something to get moving.
Sure. So for me, the number 2 thing is meditation. And Matt, I think you actually turned me on to the app that I'm about to mention. It's called Headspace. If I recall correctly, you told me about it about a year ago. And I had tried meditation in the past, just doing my own thing, sitting on the floor, trying to be quiet for 5 or 10 minutes. And I just didn't have success with that. I didn't know what I was supposed to be doing. I didn't know what meditation was supposed to feel like. I didn't get a lot out of it. But then I switched to this Headspace app, and he provides this 30-day foundation. So a whole month of like foundational exercises for getting used to meditation. It's guided, so he's talking to you through the entire time. And then after that, you can pick these content packs to help with things like, concentration or focus or relationships. There's a few dozen different
Anxiety's one of them.
Anxiety's one, right? There's dozens of different options you can pick on there. And like I said, I've been doing this for about a year, and for a few months, it was still hard to do, and I had to make a conscious effort to do it. But after doing it for that long, it's just ingrained in my daily habit now. One thing I did switch up is I only do it on the weekdays now. I used to try to do it on the weekends, and that got really difficult because kids were getting up early in the morning, and I was trying to sleep in a little bit, and it felt forced, and I was getting more anxious about trying to find time to meditate than I was getting out of meditation itself. So now I just do it. I actually do it right after I wake up at about 5:30 every morning.
So definitely that would be my next thing that I do is after I do some sort of thing to get my heart moving is I actually use the Headspace app myself. I did TM meditation for probably the past year, maybe a little bit over a year.
For everyone who's not familiar with TM,
transcendental meditation, and there's plenty of stuff online about it. The reason that I end up switching to Headspace, I just like the structure. I like that it's a 10-minute guided, that it tells you where your next, you completed this one, you click here to do the next one tomorrow. I just felt like it was, if it's structured like that, then I know I'll do it. If it's not structured, then I always struggle with that. Like I like those things that kind of keep me focused on it and keep me kind of on track with it. So I've actually recommended Headspace for several people over the last few months after I really got back into using it. But yeah, so I'll go downstairs, I'll do a little bit of exercise, and then I go right into Headspace. Another thing that's really good about it is 10 minutes long. So it's not a huge time commitment,
Right.
where other forms are unguided or it's unstructured, and you might spend 10 minutes trying to figure out like what you're going to do. With Headspace, it's very easy. You open the app, you press play, and you're moving. So that's definitely one of my favorites.
Cool. Do you want to add another one for yourself?
Yeah. So for me, one of the things that I try to do too is have a protein shake within 30 minutes of waking up. So I've read several places where it's really, really good to have some sort of protein intake within 30 minutes of waking up. I think Tim Ferriss mentioned it in 4-Hour Body. And I also don't like having big breakfast. Like I don't like cooking or doing a bunch of stuff in the kitchen in the mornings. So for me, I'll do a protein shake. So it'll be some sort of I think right now it's carnivore protein, which is a beef protein. And then I'll have some powdered greens and water, and it tastes terrible. But that is a way for me to just get some quick nutrition in the morning, because I definitely, like, if I go down and I exercise and I meditate, like, I'm just not in the mood to cook stuff. So if there was something that was maybe pre-prepared, I would probably heat it up. But a shake's just so easy to throw together really quickly and get some nutrition early in the morning.
Cool.
Yeah.
So my second one, it's kind of tied to meditation, but it's a little different. It's really just a 30-minute period of time I call personal reflection in my calendar. And it's a time of the day where I'll spend about 10 minutes reading the Bible. Took me about 2 years, but I made my way through the whole Bible a little bit later in life than I would have liked. But by setting aside that time every day, I got it done. And then the remainder of the time, it kind of varies day to day, but I'll either spend a few minutes just journaling, like writing out my thoughts, just what's going through my mind. When I was a little younger, that felt like a weird thing to do, but as I've gotten older, I started to recognize the value in just writing out your thoughts. It just helps you understand what's going through your head so much more clearly than just sitting there. Something about the physical, action of writing brings clarity to what you're thinking in a way that few other things can. Some days it's reading a personal development book. I'm reading a book by John Maxwell now. I spend about 10 or 15 minutes on that. So that I do this just as kind of a way to set the foundation for my day, get my thoughts cleared, further my relationship with God, which is for me is really important. And the reason I do it so early in the morning is it's very hard to find time later in the day. Once things get busy, you get into the routine of the day and other people in the office. It's very hard to break away, create some quiet time, and do that. So, because it's important to me, I do it. I'd actually do it right after I work out. So around 7:00 is when I set aside that time. And it's something I look forward to every morning.
So one of the things that I do in the mornings that's been really powerful for me is I will listen to either speeches or motivational speaking while I'm doing the exercises. And I've always found that a lot of that stuff on repeat, where I hear it over and over and over and over again, makes much more of an impact on me than other forms of like reading something. So I like hearing it over and over and over. And there's just so much really good stuff on SoundCloud or YouTube where you can have these just really great speakers, like Les Brown. There's quotes from Michael Jordan. There's just all these superstar athletes, and they'll have these quotes over music, and it's just it's a great way to kind of ingest that information because it just makes it a little more compelling. So I'll do that usually while I'm exercising. And then after I get done exercising and go through Headspace, that I kind of move into a time that's more like what am I focused on with personal development right now, usually for a career or something that's going on at work or something in particular that I'm trying to develop. So, for example, if when I was reading Start With Why by Simon Sinek, I would every morning for 30 minutes, I would do 30 more minutes of that book. And I had that book on repeat basically for a month. So I would spend 30 minutes every morning. And that was because I was really focused that month on kind of the principles that book was teaching. So right now, I have a podcast I listen to every morning that's really it is kind of devoted to product management.
What's it called?
I think it's called something. I can get it. It's everything is project man. It's something called like Everything is Project Management. And here, I'll pull it up.
Okay, we'll put a link to it in the
Alpha UX.
Alpha UX.
Alpha UX. This is product management. So basically, there's a different episode every couple of days on somebody talking about product management, some industry expert. So product management is something that I want to work on this month. So for 30 minutes every morning, I'll listen to one of those episodes on that podcast. And I know that if I didn't block that time, I would probably not listen to those things. And I also don't want to listen to things or episodes at random. I want to have like a focus for a month.
You want to be more strategic in what you listen to.
And so for that month, I'll really focus on whatever that framework is I'm trying to improve on. So, and that can change. That changes month to month.
Cool. So we'll put a link to that podcast and some of those SoundCloud kind of inspirational and motivational tracks that you mentioned too. We'll put links to those in the blog post related to this episode. So the next one for me is more of a tactical part of my routine, and it stemmed from me hearing. I don't know who said it. I can't remember, but I heard from someone that we have a limited amount of brain power to use throughout the day. It's almost like a battery. And that's the same reason if you've had a long day at work, you get home, you're tired, you don't have time to concentrate on things. So I read that if you can remove any of the trivial decisions that you have to make in the morning, that's a little bit of extra brain power you have left to tackle the important things for the day with. So I have, this is more of a weekly routine, but on Sundays, I will make all of my breakfasts for the week. I do oatmeal so I can prepare it ahead of time. And I'll set out all my clothes for the week, my workout clothes, my work clothes that I wear around the office. And I'll set out all the vitamins and supplements I'm going to take for the week. Those are all packaged and ready to go. And if I do that on Sundays, I spend a very small amount of time getting all those things done at once because I can make all that food in a batch. I can get all the clothes kind of set aside as a batch, all the vitamins in a batch. If I'm doing that every night, then I'm spending 15, 20 minutes every day going through that. So it's kind of a twofold benefit. One, just by batching things together, I end up saving a lot of time. I'll probably save an hour or two a week just not having to go through that crap every day. And two, since I've already picked out what I'm going to wear and I know what I'm going to eat, it's just one less thing I have to worry about in the morning. And I can focus on, more important things. So that's something I've been doing for a while now. And I kind of tweak that over time, making little adjustments here and there. But I found that to be just very, very helpful for getting the morning started right and just being really efficient with my time.
Yeah, that's a really good one. I do that, but I don't plan it out. I basically just pick what's on top.
Yeah.
So
that works too.
Yeah. Another one for me is I try to spend some time with my wife and or children in the morning before I go to work. And if I get up early enough and kind of strategic about that, then that gives me some extra time in the morning to do that. And if I was following a normal schedule, I'd probably wake up right before I have to leave the door or right before I have to leave out the door and eat something on the way, and I wouldn't get any quality time with them. So it's just kind of nice to have like a half hour to an hour in the mornings to kind of hang out with the family and just kind of, I don't know, set the tone for the day a little bit. And then when I go off to work, I have some of that time that I've spent. And, then it's not just only at night that we get to hang out. Mm-hmm. And the morning's a little more quiet too. So if the kids aren't up, it's just a good time to spend some kind of quality time with your spouse, even if it's just for like a half hour, because once the kids are up, that time is, it's gone.
Right.
So,
right. Yeah, that's great. So you're going to make me sound like a jerk for not doing that to have kids too. But my
You work out in the mornings.
I work out in the mornings. I work out at 6, and that allows me to get home a little earlier. Mm-hmm. And because I've done my personal development stuff early in the morning, because I've done exercise early in the morning, by the time I get home, I've done those important things for the day. And if all I do for the rest of the evening is spend time with my family, that's great. I don't have to worry about, I didn't get time to read this book today. I wanted to do, this other kind of personal development project. I've already taken care of that stuff. So the time I have with my family is a little bit less stressful as a result.
Yeah. And I think once our kids are a little more predictable at night, I really enjoyed getting up early and doing the workout early in the morning. Bryce was up here and he would talk. I think he gets up at like 4:30 maybe to work out. But he talks about if he doesn't get it done then, it's just not going to happen because like once the day starts, it's just over.
Right.
And
it's harder to control your time.
Yeah. And I've seen that for a lot of people.
Yeah.
But you just have to find that morning time is so precious. And a lot of people, if you don't do these things in the morning, they just will not happen.
Right. And for me, if I don't do that morning routine, I feel like I'll go through the day and I feel like the day hasn't really started, but then time is passing by and I don't have this like framework that I've based the rest of my day on. And I just feel kind of out of sorts. Is it the same for you?
Yeah, I think one of the best parts about having a morning routine is that you're in control of the day from the start. And I think that I never realized how important that was until I started having a morning routine because I always felt like I was awake and like I'm stressed. And it's just because when you wake up, you roll over. And one of my other ones I was getting ready to talk about was don't check email or like notifications first thing in the morning. That's the worst thing that I could ever do. And that's one of the things that I recommend that you just turn that crap off or don't check it for at least a while. So mine would be like, don't check notifications or don't check email till now. I just switched it to 11 a.m. So I'm trying not to check email before 11.
But chances are no one's sitting around at 6:30 in the morning waiting for your email. If you wait, till later in the day to respond, that's just as fine.
Yes. And I think when you do that, you're automatically just stressed. Like the second you wake up, there's always going to be some email that's telling you something that you're going to have to get done today. And none of those things are usually an emergency. So for me, it's really just kind of turning all those notifications off. And when I go through my morning routine, I've not checked email. I've not checked any of those things. So taking control of the day by not being distracted as soon as you wake up and basically just having some buffer there before you hit the ground running has just been huge for me. Because I used to just wake up, the alarm would go off, I would roll over, I would check email, I'd lay there in bed for 5 or 10 minutes, and now I'm like already behind, right? And stressed because like all the stuff I have to do today, and just getting up and not going through that, it just sets a different tone for the day.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So my last one is similar, or it kind of goes along the same lines of what you just talked about, and it's developing my top 3 goals for the day. So, in other words, if I got nothing else done but these 3 things, what are those? So, if I can identify the 3 areas where I'm going to make the biggest impact on our business or in my life, just whatever I'm working on that day, I know that I need to concentrate my efforts on those 3 areas or those 3 projects and not the 2,000 other things that are in my inbox or my project management software or wherever else I'm looking for work or responding to questions. So it just kind of simplifies things. Throughout the day, I don't have to sit there and think about what I'm going to work on next. I've already decided that early in the morning when I had a lot of mental clarity. And again, it's just one of those things I don't have to worry about the rest of the day. And when I get through those top 3, if I've got extra time, great. Then I can find some other things to tackle. But it just keeps me focused on being impactful instead of just being busy. So it's easy to start the day and, open up your inbox and start going through emails and then doing this task and that task. And at the end of the day, you've been very busy. You've
not accomplished a lot.
But you've not accomplished a lot that's really meaningful. So instead focusing on just those 3 things where you can make a big impact, and just doing those, you're going to be leaps and bounds ahead of just that kind of task-oriented approach where you're not really in control of what you're working on.
Yeah, so for me, that would be, I do the 5-minute journal currently,
Yep.
and part of the 5-minute journal is 3 things that you're grateful for today and 3 things that you want to accomplish today. And for me, that's really helped kind of narrow my focus, especially, and this is not really morning routine, but I think we both do this. We try to push all meetings to the afternoons so that the morning can be spent on the most important things, not the busiest things.
Right.
So I will try to start tackling those top 3 before lunch, or at least get some progress made with those before lunch. But listing out things that you're grateful for, there's a lot of research that shows that people are happier when they just appreciate the life they have instead of worrying about the life they don't have. So I think that it's really more of a gratitude journal. So I think that between mentioning 3 things that I'm thankful for and listing out 3 things that I want to get done today, that's been very powerful for me. I ended up also like just writing those things on my hand, because apps just don't work as well for me to stay focused on like just really big things I need to get accomplished today. I think we both use Asana as an app we both use.
Right.
And there was another one. Is it Daily Habit Tracker?
Yeah, it's
Daily
called
Goals.
Daily Goals, right.
Daily Goals is another one. We can link to that too. Those are really good for me to kind of stay on track with these morning routines. But one of the things I always try to keep in mind, and I heard Tim Ferriss say this, and I thought it was really true. He has 5 or 6 things, I think, that he wants to get done every morning as part of his routine. And if he gets 3 of those done, he considers it a success. Because I think it's very easy to list out, like, I want to do these 10 things every morning, and then if you miss one, you kind of feel like a failure.
Right.
And I don't know. I thought that was a really smart approach to say, here's some things I want to get done in the mornings. If I can get 3 out of 5 done, then it's a win. Because I think it's much easier to get 3 out of 5 done, and it really is a win if you can get 3 out of those 5 things done in the mornings.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you have any others to add?
No. So that was going to be kind of my final advice, was to, if you do start a morning routine, don't bite off more than you can chew. Don't try to just wake up 3 hours earlier each day, kind of work down to that. And then if you have a list of things that you want to get done, if you have 5 of them, you get 3 done, that's a very good start. And, even in the beginning, if you get one of those done this week, and the next week you add another one, and the next week you add another one, morning routines are something that it just takes a little while to kind of get into them. And if you go from nothing to huge morning routine, then you're really setting yourself up for failure. Definitely. I think.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah. It's easy. It's better to work your way through it and then try it for maybe 3 weeks and then tweak it. Maybe that's not the right thing for you to do for your morning routine.
I tweak mine all the time.
Yeah. So my last piece of advice would be everyone's morning routine is different. So Matt, your morning routine is not the same as my morning routine. And if you're listening to this, your morning routine probably shouldn't be the same as either of ours. So what I would ask anyone who's listening to do is, if you have something you like to do for your morning routine, go to our blog, find the post for this episode, and in the comments, let us know what you do for your morning routines. Not only would we like to know, but other people listening to this episode, I'm sure, would appreciate hearing other ideas. And if they're building a morning routine for the first time, or if they feel like the routine's getting stale and they want to tweak it, that'll give them some good thought to kind of chew on as they look at new ideas. So anything else you want to add, Matt? No, just in closing, like, morning routines can be a very powerful way to improve the quality of your life. And, they could start out as much as, or as small as, adding 15 minutes to your day and kind of going from there. But if you feel stressed from the moment you wake up, it's a very good way to kind of start to get a handle on that. Cool. Yep. Thanks for listening today. We'll talk to you in a couple weeks. Thanks again for listening today. The Gym Owner's Guide to the Galaxy was produced by Matt Sharp, Jeremy Russell, and me, John Ruggie. To make sure you catch every episode, search for The Gym Owner's Guide to the Galaxy on iTunes or wherever you download podcasts. We're always looking for industry leaders to interview on the show, so if there's anyone you'd like to see us feature on a future episode, let us know at podcast@causley.com. That's causely.com.
We are a production of Sweat Angels, the #1 referral program for gym owners. Sweat Angels helps drive new members at your gym by combining Facebook check-ins with giving back. If you haven't heard of us, just go to causely.com/Sweat Angels or search for us on Facebook. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time on the Gym Owner's Guide to the Galaxy.